My name's Gavin Marx. I'm a medical oncologist at the Sydney Adventist Hospital. I'm the clinical director of the Integrated Cancer Centre, and I'm the director of the SAN Clinical Trials Unit. There have been a number of success stories with cancer drug trials, and a number of these agents have now come into standard practice. The most impact has been with the development of some of the new targeted treatments, where we've identified a particular target and a drug's been developed to target that particular target, and really that's the area where we've seen the biggest improvements in outcomes. We've also seen major improvements in outcomes in the last year or two with immunotherapy, and we've been privileged enough to be involved in some of the immunotherapy trials. We've also had an opportunity to be involved in some of the important prostate cancer studies, which were international trials that our unit was one centre amongst a number of centres, both nationally and internationally. And some of these trials have really set the new standard of care with the development of some of the new targeted treatments, particularly in prostate cancer. Those trials we were involved in allowed our patients to access those drugs at the time, and it's been exciting to be a part of the development of those trials and those drugs, which are now actually freely available in Australia through the experience that people around the world have had through those clinical trials. The two most important agents that we've been involved in is the development of a drug called Abiraterone, which is a drug that affects the conversion of inactive testosterone into active testosterone, which is an important component of allowing prostate cancer cells to grow. And we were involved in some of the large international trials. We were one centre amongst others looking at this agent in patients with very advanced prostate cancer and also in patients with earlier prostate cancer. And these results showed a staggering improvement in patients' quality of life, patients' pain controls, and importantly, in overall survival, leading to longer survivals for patients who had received this drug. Based on those clinical trials, the drug is now available internationally and also in Australia on the PBS. We were also involved in another clinical trial evaluating an agent called Enzalutamide, which is also a prostate cancer agent which targets the prostate cancer androgen receptor, which is the testosterone receptor, and this agent sits in that receptor and blocks that receptor. And again, we were privileged enough to be one centre amongst many around the world evaluating this agent, and this agent also showed dramatic improvements in survival in both early prostate cancer and more advanced disease. And since the publication of those trials and the evaluation of those drugs, those agents are now available as standard of care. So we've actually seen those drugs develop from the starting point of the clinical trials to seeing their presentations at international meetings, to see the big publications around them, and now to see them available for everyone, it's very exciting to see that happen. But the fact that we can see this progress of drugs from the lab to the clinical trial to now being available for everyone is what academic and researching in oncology is all about. It gives us a real buzz to see that sort of thing happen. It is also very exciting to know that during that whole process, while these drugs were being developed and being studied and researched, we were able to put a whole lot of patients on those trials. So many of my patients received those agents that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to receive, and we've seen those patients have significant improvements in their outcome as a result of those clinical trials. So it's what academic oncology is about, because we know that through those trials we've changed the way we look after this disease, but at the same time during that whole process we were allowing patients to access drugs that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to access, and we changed their survival and their outcomes through having access to those agents. I think the curing cancer is a complex issue, and I'm not sure that we're going to be in a situation where we'll be curing cancer. But I think what we're starting to learn with all of the research that's being done is that cancer is a complex thing where there are a number of processes going on. And what we're starting to understand is, as we understand the biology of each of the components of the disease, we can target that area and have an impact on that. Unfortunately, other areas in the cancer cell take over and then become more significant. So I don't think we're going to find a cure for most cancers in the very near future, but what I think we're able to do is find a way that we'll be able to manage most cancers as a chronic disease. So we'll target a particular area for a period of time. When that stops working, we'll target another area, and when that stops working, we target another area. So clinical trials are allowing us to manage it more like a chronic disease, where you can keep things under control for a longer period of time. We're also using agents that are much more targeted and much less toxic, so we can keep people on the agents for a longer period of time. And I think that's how we're going to see cancer treatment in the next few years really be managed, where we manage it as a chronic disease for longer, and we're able to do it better because we've got more drugs to use, and the drugs are more effective and also more tolerable. And that has all been achieved through the current clinical research and the current clinical trials, and it's been fantastic for us to be a part of that whole process.